What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this episode of Home Built Workshop. Today I'm going to show you how I did this really cool finish on this quilted maple guitar top. For those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you'll probably recognize this guitar body. I started it probably a year or two ago, and it is about time that I get this thing done. So just to get you up to speed onto where I'm at with this project, this is a mahogany body with a quilted maple guitar top. The body, back and sides have been grain filled using Timbermate and sanded with a sanding block down to 220. The top is not filled or anything. We're going to apply the finish, but it is a book matched quilted maple top that has been sanded to 400 grit. Now I've got a couple of videos which I'll put links to down below in the description of me working on different parts of this project. One of them would be making this quilted maple guitar top, and the other one would be me grain filling this mahogany body. So what I'm going to do for the finish, the front, I'm going to use some dye and try to get some cool contrast in this quilted maple. In order to keep the dye from penetrating the side in case I get a little messy, I'm going to first seal the back and sides using some sanding sealer. Before I do that though, I need to cover the whole top edge using some masking tape. This will help keep the sealer off the front of the guitar. I only want the sealer on the sides and the back. I'm going to start out with a very small brush and just very carefully brush the edge of the maple. Once I get a couple of coats all the way around the maple edge, I'll just use a foam brush and put a couple of coats on the rest of the body. I'm not worried about any bubbles that I might get from the foam brush. It's going to be sanded out anyway. Once the sealer's dry, I'll remove the tape and sand the body one last time using a Scotch-Brite pad. I'm trying to get all the sanding done now so that once I apply the dye to the top, I don't have to go back and handle it too much before applying the finish. And just for good measure, I'm going to block sand the top one more time using 400 grit. Now I'm going to retape the body, but this time I'm going to tape along the side, leaving the top exposed. So now I'm at the point where I can start applying the dye. I'm going to use some water-soluble dye. I've got some black. This is a Transfast water-soluble dye. I've got it mixed up nice and thick and black, and I'm going to apply that as the first layer. I'm just going to use a paper towel and wipe it on. Now I want to be very careful that I don't ever start at the edge. I always want to work toward the center and swipe my paper towel off the edge. I'm trying to avoid any puddling at the edge that may somehow get underneath the tape. If any does, hopefully the sanding sealer will prevent the dye from penetrating the wood. Once that coat of dye is dry, I'm going to sand it back. Ugh, that was a lot of sanding. Now I'll apply some red dye over top of the black. Okay, that's cool. So now I've let the dye dry. I'm going to untape the edge. There's a couple spots where the dye soaked down past the tape, but not very much. I don't think it's going to affect it. That looks cool. Now I'm going to use some sandpaper and just lightly round over that edge. That's going to give that maple edge just a little bit of a reveal. All that's left to do now is to cover the entire thing with lots and lots of clear. So after many coats of clear lacquer, this step of the process is complete. Look at that, that turned out really cool. I don't know if you can see the 3D action going on in there in that quilted maple. Pretty cool. Now I applied at least 12 coats. Actually, I kind of lost track of how many coats of clear I was putting on the top of this, but there's at least 12 on there. I think it's probably more like 14. I don't know exactly. I'm gonna let this sit about a week or so. If you look in the reflection, you can see there's a few little marks in there, but nothing is all that bad, and it'll polish out really nice. I spent some time in between almost every coat sanding the surface nice and flat and smooth, being careful not to sand all the way through into the dye because I don't want to affect that. So I think by doing that, rather than just slathering on coat after coat after coat, I think that's going to save me a lot of time when it comes time to polish this out, because right now it is relatively flat. It's actually quite flat. So I think it's gonna buff out pretty easy. It took a lot longer to get the coats built up because I was sanding. I would put 2 coats on, sand 1 off basically. I like the way that this faux binding turned out. It's got a really nice contrast between both the body and the top and just sticks out there really well. And I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I don't know why it took so long to get back to this guitar, because this is what I was gonna do a year or 2 ago when I put this together. This is what I was going to do with the top. I've even done testing of colors. I tried a blue, I tried a red. I think if you follow me on Instagram a while back, you'll see some of the tests that I did. Just never got it onto the guitar. So while this is curing for the next week, that gives me time to get pickups and other components ordered so that I can bolt the neck on here and get this thing together, and I will be sure to post pictures when I get that done. So make sure you're following me on Instagram, link down below in the description, and on Facebook as well, also a link, and you'll see some finished pictures of this guitar as I get it done. This one is a lefty. It is made for me and just to test out some stuff. So if you're liking these, let me know what you think. Look at that reflection, that's pretty cool. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to check out this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, we'll see you next time.